She texted, "I crashed into a parked car with your truck. Don't worry, I drove away. Hit and run an MY vehicle." I replied, "Thanks for telling me." Then I called the police non-emergency line and reported it myself with her text as evidence. When the officer asked if she was available for questioning, original post, I, 29 male, own a 2021 Ford F-150 XLT. Paid it off early last year after 3 years of aggressive payments. It's the first vehicle I've ever owned outright. No lien, no bank, title in my name, sitting in my glove box. I'm a construction foreman. That truck isn't just transportation, it's how I make a living. I haul materials, get to job sites, move equipment. Without it, I don't work. Without work, I don't eat. Simple math. My girlfriend and I have been together about 2 years. We don't live together. She drives a 2016 Honda Civic that she's been complaining about for the past 6 months because the AC is barely working and there's a rattle in the dashboard that gives her anxiety. She's asked me to look at it twice. I replaced a cabin air filter and tightened a loose panel. The AC works fine. It's just not subarctic the way she wants it. The rattle was a pin that had rolled into the vent. She drives a perfectly functional car. She's been borrowing my truck occasionally. It started about 4 months ago when her Civic was in the shop for a brake job. Totally reasonable. She needed a ride. I tossed her the keys for 3 days. But after that, the borrows became more frequent. She'd ask for it when she was running errands that require space, or picking up furniture from a friend, or her car was low on gas and my truck was closer. That last one didn't even make sense, but I let it go because I'm not trying to be the guy who's weird about lending his truck to his girlfriend. Looking back, I should have set the boundary earlier. But hindsight is free and foresight costs you. 3 Saturdays ago, she asked to borrow the truck to help her younger brother move some stuff out of his apartment. He was switching roommates or something. I didn't get the full story. I said sure. I was off that day, didn't need the truck, figured she'd be back by evening. At 4:17 p.m., I got a text. This is the exact text, copy-pasted. Her, "Okay, so don't freak out, but I was pulling out a parking spot and I kind of hit a parked car. Not that bad. Just scraped the bumper. I drove away BC, there was no one around, and I didn't want to deal with it. Your truck is fine though. Just a little scratch on the front right. Don't worry about it, LOL." I read that text sitting on my couch, eating a bowl of cereal because I'd skipped lunch. I put the cereal down. I read it again. Let me break down what she told me in that text. She was driving MY truck. She hit a parked car. She caused damage to another person's vehicle. She left the scene without leaving a note, without trying to find the owner, without reporting it. She committed a hit and run. An MY registered vehicle, with MY plates, under MY insurance. And she followed it up with "Don't worry about it, LOL. LOL. I sat there for about 3 minutes doing nothing. Not because I was frozen, because I was running calculations. If that parking lot has cameras, and most do, then MY truck, my license plate, is on footage fleeing the scene of a collision. If the owner of the parked car reports the damage, and the footage shows my truck, the police are coming to MY door. Not hers. Mine. Because the vehicle is registered to me. In this state, the registered owner is the first person they come looking for, and my girlfriend was driving is an explanation, not an excuse. The ticket, the points, the potential charge, those start with me, and I have to prove otherwise. My insurance. If a claim gets filed against my vehicle, my rates go up. I'm paying $187 a month for full coverage on the F-150. A hit-and-run claim could jack that up by 30 to 40%, potentially more. That's an extra $60 to $70 a month for years. Over a 5-year period, that's over $3,500 in increased premiums because she didn't want to deal with it. And the scratch on my truck? That's body damage that I'll have to pay to fix out of pocket if I don't want to file a claim on my own policy. Front right bumper on an F-150 isn't cheap. We're talking $800 to $1,500 depending on severity. All of this ran through my head in about 3 minutes. Then I replied, "Me, thanks for telling me. That's it. 4 words. No anger, no questions, no lecture. Just acknowledgement. Because I'd already decided what I was going to do, and I didn't need her deleting the text before I did it. I screenshotted the text conversation, saved it to my photos, and emailed a copy to myself. Then I pulled up the non-emergency police line for my local department and called. The dispatcher was calm, professional. I explained the situation. My girlfriend had been driving my truck, hit a parked car in a parking lot, left the scene, and texted me about it. I told them I was the registered owner, and I wanted to report it because I didn't want this coming back on me as a hit and run. The dispatcher thanked me and said an officer would call me back to take statement. About 40 minutes later, an officer called. I went through it again, gave him the timeline, my girlfriend's name and number, the approximate time and general area she'd been driving, her brother's neighborhood, which she'd told me earlier. He asked if I had evidence that she was the driver. I sent him the screenshot of her text. He was quiet for a second after I read it to him. Then he said, "She texted you that she drove away from the scene?" Me, "Yes, sir." Exact words. "I drove away BC, there was no one around, and I didn't want to deal with it." Him, "And this is your registered vehicle?" Me, "Yes, sir. 2021 F-150. I can give you the VIN." Him, "That's helpful. Is the driver available for questioning?" Me, "She will be. She's currently driving my truck. She should be back within a few hours." Him, "Okay. We're going to need to speak with her. We'll also reach out to the local jurisdiction where the incident occurred to see if a report was filed by the other vehicle's owner." I gave him everything he needed, my info, her info, the truck details. He said someone would follow up. Then I waited. She got back to my apartment around 7 p.m., pulled into my parking spot like nothing happened, walked in carrying a Chick-fil-A bag, smiled at me, and said, "Hey, babe, want some waffle fries?" I looked at her. She was offering me waffle fries after committing a misdemeanor with my property. Me, "Sure. Let me see the truck first." We walked outside. The front right bumper had a 6-inch scrape with the other car's paint transfer. Looked like a silver or light gray vehicle. The bumper was dented inward slightly. Not catastrophic, but not just a little scratch either. Me, "This is going to need body work." Her, "It's not that bad. Can't you just buff it out?" Me, "No. I can't buff out a dent and paint transfer. This is a body shop job." Her, "Okay, well, I'll help pay for it." Me, "That's a start. But we need to talk about the other car." Her, "What about it?" Me, "You hit someone's car and drove away. That's a hit and run." She rolled her eyes. Rolled. Her eyes. "It was a parked car. Nobody was in it. I barely tapped it." Me, "Doesn't matter. You caused damage and left without reporting it or leaving information. That's leaving the scene of an accident." Her, "Oh my God, you're being so dramatic. People bump cars in parking lots every day. Nobody reports that." Me, "People leave notes. People call the police non-emergency line. People take responsibility." Her, "I didn't see any damage on the other car." Me, "You have silver paint on my bumper. The other car has damage." She threw her hands up. "Fine. What do you want me to do about it now? It's done. We can't go back." Me, "Actually, I already called the police." The Chick-fil-A bag crinkled in her hand because she squeezed it involuntarily. "You did what?" Me, "I called the non-emergency line and reported it. Gave them the details. They're going to follow up." Her, "You reported me?" To the police. Me, "I reported a hit and run involving my vehicle. Because that's what it is. And if that parking lot has cameras, which most do, my truck is on footage leaving the scene of an accident. If the owner reports it and the plates come back to me, I'm the one getting charged. Not you." Me, her, "You could have we could have figured out. You didn't have to involve the police." Me, "You involved the police the moment you hit a car and drove away. I'm just making sure the record shows I'm not the one who did it." She stared at me with her mouth slightly open, still holding the waffle fries, and for about 5 seconds neither of us said anything. Then she said, "I can't believe you would do this to me." Me, "You can't believe I'd protect myself from a crime you committed with my property?" Her, "It wasn't a crime. It was an accident." Me, "The accident was hitting the car. The crime was driving away." She left, took the Chick-fil-A with her, drove her Civic home, didn't speak to me for the rest of the night. Reddit, I know some of you are going to say I overreacted, that I should have handled it quietly, taken the truck to a body shop, and let it go. But here's what I keep coming back to. She wasn't sorry about hitting the car. She wasn't worried about the other person's property. She wasn't concerned about the legal exposure she'd created for me. Her first instinct was to leave, her second instinct was to minimize, and her third instinct was to offer waffle fries. The police are going to follow up. She doesn't know it yet, but the consequences of driving away are about to be very real. And they're going to land on her, not on me. More when I have it. Update 1. 5 days later. Quick update because things move fast. 2 days after I filed the report, I got a call from the officer handling the case. Good news and bad news. Good news, the parking lot did have cameras. Bad news for my girlfriend. The footage clearly showed my truck backing out of space, hitting the rear quarter panel of a silver Toyota Camry, pausing for about 4 seconds, and then pulling away. No note left. No attempt to find the owner. Just a pause, like she was deciding, and then gone. The officer told me the owner of the Camry had filed a report the same day. They'd come back to their car and found the damage: scraped paint, cracked taillight, dented quarter panel. They reviewed the lot cameras with the property manager and got a partial plate from the footage, which matched my truck. The Camry owner's repair estimate, $2,100. The officer said that based on my report, the text evidence, and the camera footage, they were treating this as a leaving the scene of an accident violation. In my state, that's a misdemeanor for property damage with no injuries. It can carry a fine up to $500, up to 6 months in jail, though jail time for a parking lot scrape is basically unheard of, and points on the driver's license. He asked if my girlfriend would come in voluntarily for a statement or if they needed to pursue it differently. I said I'd give her the information and she could decide. I called her that evening. She'd been texting me sporadically since the night she left, mostly acting normal, sending memes, asking about my day. Like the whole thing was already behind us. When I told her the police want to speak with her, the normalcy evaporated. They want to question me? Over a parking lot fender bender. Me, it's not a fender bender. It's leaving the scene. The other car has $2,100 in damage. Cracked taillight, dented quarter panel. $2,000? For a scratch? Me, you cracked their taillight and dented the panel. That's not a scratch. This is your fault. If you hadn't called the police, nobody would know. Me, the owner already reported it before I called. They had camera footage. My plates were partially visible. They were going to find me regardless. The only reason I'm not the one being questioned right now is because I called first. So you're just going to let them come after me? Me, I'm going to let the legal process work the way it's supposed to. You hit a car and drove away. That has consequences. I am your girlfriend. You're supposed to have my back. Me, having your back doesn't mean taking the fall for your hit and run. It means telling you the truth, which is go talk to the police, give your statement, and deal with this before it gets worse. She hung up. That was becoming her signature move. The next morning, I got a call from her mother. Of course, because in this family, when the daughter hits a wall, or in this case, a Camry, mom gets tagged in. Her mom, I understand you called the police on my daughter over a little car accident. Me, I reported a hit and run involving my vehicle to protect my legal liability. Your daughter hit a parked car and fled the scene. Her mom, she was panicking. She's never been in an accident before. She didn't know what to do. Me, she's 27. She has a driver's license. She knew exactly what to do. She chose not to do it. Her mom. And instead of supporting her through a scary moment, you turn her in. Me, ma'am, if the police had traced my plates before I called, I would have been the one facing charges. Your daughter put me at legal risk. I removed that risk. That's not betrayal. That's self-preservation. Her mom, family protects family. Me, we're not married. And even if we were, I'm not committing a crime by association to protect someone who committed one by choice. Her mom paused. Then, you're going to lose her over this. Me, I'm going to lose a lot more than a relationship if I let a hit and run stay on my record. She hung up. Must be genetic. Now here's where it gets worse. That evening, my girlfriend showed up at my apartment, uninvited again, and she had a new angle. She walked in, sat down, and presented me with what she clearly thought was a brilliant plan. Okay, I've been thinking, what if we tell the police that you were the one driving? I'm going to let that sit for a second. She wanted me, the owner of the vehicle, the person who proactively reported the incident, the the person who provided the police with her text confession, to now tell the police that I was actually the driver. She wanted me to commit a crime to cover for a crime. Me, you want me to lie to the police. Her, it's not lying. It's just adjusting the story. You own the truck. You could just say you were driving and you didn't realize you hit anything and you'll pay for the damage. They'll close the case. Me, there are 3 problems with that. 1, I already told the police you were driving. 2, I gave them your text where you told me you were driving. 3, that would be filing a false police report, which is a separate crime. So instead of 1 misdemeanor, we'd have 2. Except the second one would be mine. Her, nobody checks that closely. They just want the damage paid for. Me, the police literally have camera footage of my truck and a text from you saying you were behind the wheel. This isn't a Dateline episode where we can edit the narrative. It's documented. Her, you documented it. You did this. If you just deleted the text and kept your mouth shut. Me, then I'd be the one charged with hit and run when they trace my plates, which they were already doing. She stood up, grabbed her purse, and said something that I think she meant to sound threatening, but actually just made my decision easier. If you don't fix this, we're done. Me, we're done either way. But I'd rather be single than be a convicted liar. She left. No Chick-fil-A this time. Update 2, 12 days later. All right, final update. This one's going to cover the legal resolution, the relationship aftermath, and where I'm sitting now. After my ex stormed out, I didn't hear from her for 3 days. I figured she was either consulting a lawyer, crying to her mom, or plotting another scheme. Turns out it was a combination of all 3, but the lawyer was the important one. According to what I later learned through our mutual friend, a guy from my job crew who also knows her brother, her mom helped her get a consultation with a local attorney. The attorney apparently told her the same thing I'd been saying. The text message, the camera footage, and my preemptive report made her situation very straightforward. She was the driver, she left the scene, and the evidence was clear. His advice was to cooperate with the police, accept responsibility, and hope the prosecutor offered a plea deal that kept it off her criminal record as much as possible. She cooperated, went in for her statement 4 days after I last saw her. I know this because the officer on my case called to update me. Since I was the registered vehicle owner, I was a party to the report. He said she'd come in, given a statement that was consistent with the evidence, and that the case was being forwarded to the district attorney's office for review. About a week later, the DA's office offered her a plea. She'd plead no contest to a reduced charge of improper backing, a traffic infraction instead of a misdemeanor. Pay restitution to the Camry owner for the full $2,100 in repairs, pay a $350 fine, and attend a 4-hour defensive driving course. If she completed everything within 90 days, the charge would stay as an infraction and not escalate to a misdemeanor on her record. That's a good deal. Honestly, better than she deserved. But the DA's office doesn't have unlimited resources, and a parking lot fender bender turned hit and run with no injuries isn't exactly their top priority. She took the deal. So the legal math on her end, $2,100 in restitution to the Camry owner, $350 fine, whatever she paid the attorney for the consultation, probably $200 to $400 for a quick sit-down. The defensive driving course, maybe $30 to $50 for an online version. Total out-of-pocket, roughly $2,700 to $2,900. All because she didn't leave a note. A piece of paper with her phone number and insurance info left under a windshield wiper. That's what this whole thing would have cost if she'd done the right thing. Her insurance would have covered the Camry's damage. Her premiums would have gone up, sure, maybe $30 to $40 a month for a few years. Inconvenient, but not $2,800 and a day in court inconvenient. Now the truck. I took it to a body shop the Monday after all this started. Front right bumper needed to be pulled, repainted, and blended. Total cost, $1,140. I paid out of pocket because filing through my insurance would have raised my rates, and I wasn't about to take that hit for something I didn't do. I texted my ex. At this point, we were fully broken up, but I'd been waiting to bring up the truck repair until the legal stuff settled. I sent her the invoice from the body shop, $1,140. I said, "This is the repair cost for the damage to my truck. I'm asking you to cover it since you caused it. Her response, "Are you joking? I just paid over $2,000 in restitution and a $350 fine. You want me to pay for your truck too?" Me, "The restitution was for the other person's car. The fine was for leaving the scene. The truck repair is for MY car that you damaged. These are 3 separate consequences of one decision you made." Her, "I don't have that kind of money right now." Me, "I can give you time, but the bill is yours." Her, "You're unbelievable. You reported me to the police, ruined my record, and now you want me to pay you $1,100 on top of everything." Me, "Your record has an infraction, not a misdemeanor, because the DA was lenient. And I'm asking you to pay for damage you caused to my property. That's not punishment. That's accountability." Her, "I'm not paying you. Sue me." Me, "Okay." She probably thought I was bluffing. I wasn't. I filed in small claims court the following week. In my state, small claims handles disputes up to $10,000. Filing fee was $75. I submitted the body shop invoice, the photos of the damage, the police report, which documented her as the driver, and the text messages. The case was straightforward. She was driving my truck. She caused damage. Here's the bill. She was served at her apartment about 10 days later. My buddy on the crew told me her brother mentioned she lost it when she got the papers. Called her mom. Called a friend who's a paralegal. Apparently tried to call the court to explain the situation, as though small claims as a customer service line, where you can negotiate your way out of being sued. 2 days after being served, her mom called me. Last time, her mom, "You were suing my daughter over a bumper." Me, "I'm suing her over $1,140 in damage she caused to my vehicle and refused to pay for." Her mom, "She's already paid thousands of dollars because of you." Me, "She paid thousands of dollars because she hit a car and drove away. Everything that's happened to her is a direct consequence of her own actions. I didn't hit the Camry. I didn't leave the scene. I didn't refuse to take responsibility. She did all of that." Her mom, "You could have handled this as a couple." Me, "We're not a couple. We haven't been a couple since she asked me to lie to the police for her." Her mom, "You're a cold person." Me, "Maybe, but I'm a cold person with a clean record and a repaired truck. Have a good evening." The small claims hearing was scheduled for about 3 weeks out, but never got that far. About a week before the hearing date, I got a Venmo request from my ex. Not a payment, a request, for $1,140. With a note, "Here, are you happy now?" I don't know if she meant to send a request instead of a payment, or if she was being petty by making me accept the request rather than just sending money. Either way, I rejected the request and texted her, "Please send payment directly, not a request. Venmo or check is fine." She sent the money 20 minutes later. No note this time. I screenshotted the payment confirmation, filed a dismissal of the small claims case, and ate the $75 filing fee because at that point, I just wanted it done. So the final accounting. Her total cost for hitting a car and driving away, $2,100 restitution, $350 fine, $200 to $400 attorney consultation, $30 to $50 defensive driving course, $1,140 truck repaired me. Rough total, $3,820 to $4,040. The cost of leaving a note, $0. The cost of doing the right thing when you make a mistake, free. Here's where I'm at now. Single. Truck is fixed. Bumper looks brand new. Body shop did good work. Insurance stayed the same because the incident was documented as her fault, not mine. My record is clean. The officer I worked with told me during our last call that my proactive report was exactly what a vehicle owner should do in this situation, and that it made the case significantly easier to resolve. Work is busy. We're deep into a commercial project, and I'm pulling 10-hour days. My brother came over last weekend, and we grilled burgers, and he asked how the truck saga ended. I told him. He shook his head and said, "She texted you the confession and asked you to lie to the cops? That's a 2-for-1 special on bad decisions." My ex, from what I hear through the grapevine, is telling people I overreacted to a minor fender bender and got her in legal trouble over nothing. She's not wrong that it started as a minor fender bender. She's wrong that it stayed minor after she left the scene. The leaving is what made it major. The refusing to take responsibility is what made it expensive. The asking me to lie is what made it unforgivable. I don't miss her exactly. I miss having someone to eat dinner with on a Tuesday. I miss the easy parts. The stupid inside jokes, the late-night drives, the way she'd steal my hoodies and pretend she didn't have them. Those parts were real. But so was the part where she damaged my property, committed a crime, and then expected me to absorb the consequences because we were in a relationship. Love is not a legal defense. Dating someone is not a liability agreement. And don't worry about it, LOL, is not an acceptable response to a hit and run. Protect your property, Reddit. Protect your record. And if someone hands you waffle fries after crashing your truck and fleeing the scene, eat the fries, but call the police. I'm out.